friends, it's Carly and I'm back again with another review. So we are up to another Age of Apocalypse figure. We looked at the Green Goblin yesterday and here he is on my shelf looking beautiful like I knew that he would. And I'm excited to continue on with the AOA figures. I was really happy with the Sunfire overall besides the little production defect that I had, and I wanted to keep the ball rolling, so I went with a figure that I actually picked up on the shelf before I got my series and had a little bit of chance to play with and really enjoyed because I like to keep things positive. So before I do that, just a reminder, I would really love for you guys to subscribe and turn on your notification bells so that you get all of the alerts for the videos that I'm doing every single day. I just got the notification that another shipment is coming out for me, and I do videos every Monday or Tuesday for nerdbot.com. Make sure that you subscribe, turn on your notifications, and you'll never miss anything I do. With all of that behind us now, let's move on and take a look at Morph. So this figure is really, really fun for me. There's a bunch of reasons why. First of all, he is done in a very specific sort of comic booky 90s animated style that really appeals to me, and I'm showing my age, but you know, when I was a teenager, all of the comic book characters and cartoon shows, I'm going to take off his cape to show you guys a little better, were sort of done in this style, and he, I don't know, he just really hits an aesthetic that appeals to the 90s kid in me. I really, really like his costume and body. I think that the fact that, if you don't know, Morph is able to sort of morph into anything that he wants to. So I really like that the body style that they chose for him, and that the strength of his body sort of belies his silly character a little bit. So he's obviously very strong and very flexible, and he's you know, a super mutant, but at the same time he's goofy and funny, and you can kind of see that in the sculpt and the direction that they went with his body style. So I really like, this is going to come into play a little bit more with the points of articulation, so we're about to get to all of that. But I just really like the design choices on this character. He's so much fun, and I've really had a lot of fun playing with this figure. You can see, you know, I still got that loose torso, but all of that aside, you know, that's to be expected, I guess, now. With some of these mid sort of bulk body figures, it seems like I'm always getting a little bit of a production defect, but I will say that even though I've got to point that out, that it has not hindered my, you know, my enjoyment of this figure whatsoever. And then he also comes with this vinyl cloak that, when it's all together, the color contrast of his entire costume is just really striking, and I really like the way that it looks. Although I will say that this is a very heavy, very rigid vinyl, and while it displays really well, and when I put him on my shelf, and this one I will put on my shelf, when I put him on my shelf, it'll be nice to have him standing in this, but as far as playing with your toys, which I do, and working with photography, which I'm trying to learn to be better at, this is not a flexible piece at all. It's very thick, very heavy. While it is, you know, you can bend it, it's not going to be able to, you know, he won't be able to sit with it on in a comfortable way. So, that's a little bit disappointing, especially after just having looked at that McFarlane Batman where the cape that he was wearing was so thin and flexible, also made out of vinyl. The Azrael had those thin vinyl strips. It seems like that would be more cost effective and also better for play, but you know, this is what we get with Marvel Legends. So as a standing look, I'm not upset about it at all. As a figure to play with, it's a little disappointing. So we're gonna go ahead and take this cape off now and take a closer look at Morph. So one of the things that I love about this figure is that he is probably one of the most highly articulate figures I've gotten in a minute. I believe that he has the same body type as Sunfire. I think it's the same, it is. So we've got the same body as Sunfire, which may explain why we have that loose torso. Maybe it's that body type in particular, that mold. that is always going to do that. I got a lot of great suggestions and recommendations in the comments of the Sunfire video about how to repair that, and I'm really grateful. Thank you guys. I'm going to try some of those out and see how it works. But I just like this. That aside, that little hiccup aside, I just like this body. I think that it looks really sharp. I think it looks strong, and I like the flexibility that you get with a figure with this many points of articulation. So let's look at each of those now. First of all, that face. I just love his little smirk, how he has such a unique mutant type look. And he's just sort of like enjoying himself. He's sort of got an inner monologue that we can't hear that is cracking him up. I really just like that appearance. And I think it suits the character. So we've got a full 360 easy degrees in the head here. He's got a very nice clicky downward look with his head. It clicks right into place rather than sliding through, and it clicks back. So we've got an excellent range of motion, and the head on this neck fits really well. So there's really no place in the rotation of the up and down look where it seems like his head is separated from his body. And I think you guys know what I mean by that sometimes the head will be sitting up on the peg a little bit too high. So there are places in the range of motion where there's too much space between the actual skull and the neck, and it looks a little detached and weird. It kind of detaches the body and creates this like negative space. That doesn't happen, and I'll show you from the side so that you can see. That doesn't happen anywhere in this range of motion. It's all very organic and really like reads and makes sense for a real body. So I really appreciate that. So our morph also has a beautiful lateral lift. Look at this, you guys. I've not been seeing this as much as I would like to, and this makes me so happy. I wish we could have had this with the Green Goblin. And we've got lovely butterfly joints. So we've got a little bit of a move forward, not too much, but a really excellent move backward. Again, I think this is definitely the same body that we've got on Sunfire, and it might possibly, no, I think the upper body on Logan is a little bit bulkier. But anyway, so this is a nice mid-sized figure with really flexible butterfly joints, which I like. I think they're a lot of fun. We have a really nice, so that gives us just a really nice range of motion in the shoulder. You can see all the different things that we can do, all the places that we can stop. It just gives it that little extra something, and begs the question once again for me, why are we not seeing this with every single figure? I know that I'm we're gonna try again. I'm beginning to sound like a broken record with this, but if the technology is there, let's take this design, make it in a female body type, a small frame, a mid frame, and a large bulky frame, and have our points of articulation set. It seems like since we're already repurposing so many things for these figures, let's just do that and call it a day. The people who like articulation will be happy. The standards should be able to be a lot more consistent. It just makes sense to me. So I would really like to start to see more consistency, and hopefully we are going to be getting that with some coming up figures. It's looking promising to me. I'll probably never be able to give up hope on better Marvel Legends for the future because I already love so many of them so much. So now we're looking at this lateral lift and the butterfly joint. We've got 360 glorious degrees here in the bicep. Nice double jointed elbows that work. Again, a vinyl overlay on the glove prevents it from going all the way in, but we still get a pretty good look and a pretty hearty pullback on a punch there too. So I'm not too mad at that at all. He's got a nice 360 degrees in the wrist. And because of the design of the glove, there may be some movement in the joint one way or another, but it's completely obstructed. So we're not really able to do, it looks like it's forward and back, but we're not really able to make use of that. Which, again, he doesn't have an accessory for his hand, so I'm not mad at that. He just has these two fist hands. So there's really no need for us to do very much in the wrist anyway. In the torso, we have a really nice lean forward, and it's pretty deep bow as well. So that's great. And hear all those clicks. We've got, you know, as I was talking about in the last video, I think, it doesn't take much. You know, you don't really have to be able to lean your character all the way back to sort of like have this back. You don't have to do that. Just as long as there is some distinction, it's almost always all the distinction that you need. So just a tiny click back and a tiny click forward really do a lot as far as posing goes. So I'm very happy with that. We've got, let's just to show it one more time and get this out of the way, the very loose torso again. No explanation for that, but it makes sense since it's the same mold as Sunfire that it would have the same defect. We've got 360 degrees in the waist. I feel like the lateral lift on his legs is maybe a little bit better. This could be wishful thinking because I am always hoping for that, but it looks like they might, maybe not. But this is what we get regardless. So this is how high we get in the lateral raise on the hips here. We've got 360 degrees in the thigh. A really, really beautiful double jointed knee that works perfectly, and even the boot isn't obstructing that, even though it's a high sort of collared boot. We can see that it's not getting up to his leg muscle, so it's not obstructing that at all. We have that good old fashioned boot turn that I'm so fond of, and then the beautiful flexible ball and socket joint ankles that go all the way back, all the way forward, and then the nice rotating ankle that works the way that it should. So this figure is very posable, very flexible, with overwhelmingly points of articulation that work the way that you want them to. There's something about this particular mold that just is coming off the line sort of incorrect. And actually, let's take a look really quickly. I wasn't going to do this, but because I found this on the shelf before I got my shipment, let's open another morph and see if he also has that same production defect. I'll be really interested to see if they all have the same thing. So let's take a look. We're going to just separate him from his cloak here, and here is the new morph. Here is the morph we've been looking at. You see that? We saw that on Sunfire. Here's the new one fresh out of the box. And yep, sure enough, we have that on. So now we have 3 figures with this body type with the loose torso. So you can pretty much, I feel, we've got some data here to work with, and you can pretty much expect that if you get this body type, the Sunfire or the morph, that you're gonna have that loose torso. But check my comments because there are lots of great customizers and collectors who have wonderful suggestions about how to fix that. And with both of these figures, they are 2 of my favorite figures in the line, and this is not holding me back. So it's unfortunate. I wish that it wasn't that way, but it doesn't ruin the figure for me. So I definitely wouldn't say to let that be the thing that prevents you from getting this. Again, we're still at that $19.99 sweet spot sort of retail for figures like these. And when there's a little bit of something like that, I mean, that sort of inspires, if you like the character and the rest of it is good, that's what's sort of inspiring people to come up with solutions to these problems, and the people who know how to fix them are more than willing to share what they've learned. So don't let this be the thing that keeps you from picking up this morph, because he is satisfying. He's a really fun little figure, and he looks good on a shelf. He looks good with his cloak accessory, or I guess cape accessory. The colors are beautiful. I really love this sort of like violet blue, deep navy blue that they use, and you know, the purple cape and the yellow gloves, the contrast. He's just striking to look at. He has this really fun face and expression. You know, it's a simple sculpt. He's pretty easy to create, but it's just a satisfying figure. It's just a feel-good fig for me. So I am really happy with Morph, and I'm glad that I can say that, because looking ahead, I don't know how optimistic I can get about these figures after the first 2 that we looked at, but Sunfire and Morph are really winners for me. So I hope that you guys are sticking with the AOA figures. Let me know what you think of Morph. I've got 2 now. They had the same defect, but they are overwhelmingly really nice looking, satisfying figures, and I just, you know, I enjoy the figure so much, everything else about it, and everything else about the Sunfire figure so much that I just am not all that mad about a little bit of shakiness in the torso. I can still play with them, and I can still pose them, and they look great on the shelf. So you can see there is Sunfire right there. He looks fantastic, so I'm not too upset about it. So that is that for our AOA review today, my friends. We are going on tomorrow to a retro Spidey figure that will be a surprise for you. And I am just cruising along through these figures. I have that other shipment coming up, which I am super excited about. We're going to keep that one a surprise, but we'll start to space these out a little bit more once we get through these 2 series. I know that a video a day is overwhelming, probably almost as overwhelming for you to make as it is for you to watch, but I just didn't want to delay anymore, and time is of the essence, so I'm striking while the iron's hot. Thank you guys so much for your comments, your likes, your shares. You've been subscribing, and I know you've been turning on those notification bells because I can see when you start watching, and it feels so great. I'm so grateful for everything that you guys are doing, and I can't wait to do another one. So stay tuned, make sure you've got your bell on, and you'll be notified the next time I post a video. Have a great day. Bye, friends.